Double bind.
Double bind.
Double bind.
Double bind.
Double bind.
To record. Welcome, folks. What's been going on? And no one's answering. All right. Yeah, y'all know I always got to throw a little question in here to start some shit, right? So, by a virtual show of hands, how many of us think we could have survived on a slave plantation, and how long? Like, I know my ass would have been killed the same
right now?
week that they sold me. Yeah. I know Kenya would be. She already planned on poisoning masses. So.
Oh, I'd be hanging from a tree. I'd be whipped every day. Drugged by a horse every day. Every day.
I mean, I feel like they did what they had to do during those times, just like we're doing what we need to do during these times. You know what I mean? So I know for me, I definitely would not be a docile human.
Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah. Books, let me guess, you probably.
No, I'm just cautious when we're answering these things. We don't want to
trigger people.
Dismiss. Well, not even trigger people. Just like I'm just thinking from my own. Like I don't want to dismiss who came before me, but I think that I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have now. I wouldn't have had that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wouldn't have known. Well, it depends. Did I come at the beginning of the slave trade? Did I come in the middle? Did I come towards the end? Because if I came at the beginning, I didn't know what was happening. I would have seen the missionaries coming. And like my peers, we would have all been saying, you know, who is this pale-faced, ghost-looking creature? And, you know, there would have been a resistance and, you know, maybe being the kind people that we were, maybe we would have invited them in, maybe broke bread with them, had wine, which is what we did. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of went left. But we have to remember too, like, it is our people that did make that deal with the, you know, the Europeans to take us.
The colonizers.
Right?
Yeah,
so it's like, you know, is my resistance going to be to the man that's now going to take my own kin? Is my resistance going to be with him, or is my resistance going to be with the white man after? And I would think in my head now, speaking, obviously I can only speak of now, I would be more cautious of my black kin brother beforehand.
Right. I actually would love to see a story based on the slaves who were the equivalent to like a William O'Neill. You know what I mean? Just to kind of see how they thought. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all understand self-preservation. Some slaves were actually happy to know that they had a place to sleep. They didn't have to be on the run.
It's just greed. It's greed, right? Yeah. It's greed and
self-preservation as well. You know, lack of empathy in some ways for others.
Yeah, but
in some ways you're looking out for yourself. Yeah,
right. But didn't the villages, you know, work well in tandem with one another, and they communicated well, and they each had their own chief, and if you owed one the other, you. Oh no,
I'm talking about the slaves here. That one is already established. I'm not talking about like tribal warfare amongst
right.
them.
And see, I would like to hear more stories of what we were, and what happened, and how we lived, and how we, you know, cohabitated before the missionaries came. I want to hear more of those stories. I don't think that is enough.
Gotcha.
I feel like people are people, whether we are in 5 BC or 2021. Just like today, we have some people that are for the people. There are going to be some people that's like, I'm going to make sure that me and my people are good. I kind of feel like back then, people are people. That's my point. So just like how we have some people that are passive today, I feel like back then, some were passive, some were more aggressive. You're not really going to hear more about the people that were not the go along to get along. I just think.
I read something about the history of Jamaican slavery. Like the Jamaicans, I mean, forgive me, Bugs, but I'm gonna be blunt. Like I think Jamaicans are the most aggressive West Indians on the planet. If Abdul was on here, he would agree with me. And he says, you know, his words, Jamaicans are very special people. I read that whatever tribe that the Jamaican Maroons have descended from, that specific ethnic group, because they were so damn resistant to being enslaved.
Nope.
But the slave masters was like, put another order in for some more passive people, not these. Like they literally changed from the original group they were enslaving to a different tribe of people who were less resistant to being enslaved. And I thought, to me, that was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
That is because,
but also I'll take it a step further. I did research on that as well because I wanted to know why homosexuality was why Jamaicans are so.
But you're gonna talk about butt breaking, right?
Yeah, why they're so against
homosexuality.
Homosexuality. So I did research on that, and pretty much what I've learned was that all of the bucks or the field hand, the men were shipped to Jamaica. And they did buck breaking there. And they made some of them sleep with their mothers. So in that sense, Jamaicans had to be aggressive if all of these, terrible things are happening to you.
Trauma.
So it all comes full circle.
And that's why some of the most homophobic men on this planet right now are Jamaicans.
I mean, it's all embedded in the music, ironically. Even though they're talking about nothing but women's topics in dancehall music and dressing, their outfits, they're more bad bitches than the women are. But let's move on. I'm gonna get flack from the yardies, but who cares? So let's move on. I was hoping Christina, she actually popped in for like a second and then she popped back out. She should be joining us. Let's talk about Malcolm and Marie.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, it's funny. We just talked about trauma and toxicity.
Right. And I was thinking about that too. I was like, this is a nice segue to this because talk about trauma and toxicity.
Have we all seen the movie Malcolm and Marie?
Yes.
I've seen part of it. I haven't seen the end.
I watched twice.
I didn't want to miss anything. I'm there with you.
I haven't seen any of it, but I mean, I can probably speak to different parts of because it's about a toxic relationship, right? I think everyone's either been in one or experienced one. So I think I could probably speak to a few points. But yeah.
So Kenya, you said you watched it twice.
Yes.
What differed from the first time you saw it to the second time?
Well, the first time when I watched it, I was really in a relaxed state. I had my aromatherapy going. The lights were dim. I was super comfortable and I ended up falling asleep because I was comfortable. So the next time I watched it a little bit earlier. I was up, the lights are on. I was fully awake, present. I had the script with me and watched everything. And also the second time, I kind of wanted to watch Zendaya's performance again to see if I was bugging the first time that I saw it. So, yeah, I didn't want to miss anything the second time.
What do you mean? Like, what observations?
So, for me, when I watched it, I feel like the first half of the movie, her character wasn't necessarily present. It was just like, I'm waiting for my line. Okay, you said your thing, I'm going to say it. I feel like there was one portion when she's in the tub and he's giving her verbal gut punches and she did nothing. She gave no reaction, nothing. She just sat there. So I felt like in that moment, like she hasn't really had enough life experience to play that portion of the movie.
That's really interesting.
So watching it a second time, I was just like, did I miss something? I was like, no, she's not giving anything. But then in the second half, I think right after she did the knife thing, that's when her character was present. That's when she was like fully there. And I felt something from her.
Sneed, I know you're itching. Go ahead.
Well, that's interesting because I actually watched it a few times, as I do a lot of movies for the exact same reason. And I felt as though what I got from that particular scene that you're talking about, Kenya, I felt at that moment she was just like, you know what? I've said what I had to say. I'm over it. If you're going to keep on talking, say what you got to say, do what you got to do. How many times have we been in arguments where we don't say anything because we're numb to the situation? I mean, it was all in her face.
Yeah, you don't say anything, but you still react.
But there's
like you should have looked
her face
or something.
Yeah, but her face, she did though. If you look at her face, if you really zone on her face, she did. There was movement in her face.
I felt nothing.
And but it's weird because John was the one that was irritating me. I was like, dude, why are you giving him so many fucking lines? Shut up.
Oh yeah, I didn't even get to his part yet. The reason why I pulled out the script the second time was because I needed to know why he was eating that friggin' mac and cheese like that. Like, what the hell?
Right. Who told him to do that? Nobody eats like that.
Right.
Oh, my God.
And if you're that upset, you're not even going to eat the mac and cheese.
You guys didn't get what he was doing, though? I'm agreeing 100% with what both of you are saying. But in that moment with him eating, he is, to me, some men, let's say some people, because it can be men or women, they will do almost anything to get a reaction from the other person. And that was him being almost like a petulant child. Mm-hmm. And obnoxious. So he was, obnoxious little child trying to irritate the out of her. So if for him, I understand what you're saying, Sneed, like why make that choice? But I got why, because he is very
she
much.
She wasn't even in the room.
Huh?
She wasn't even in the room.
But look at the amount of noise he was making.
He was loud enough to bring her out.
To bring her out, exactly. And to me, that's what he was trying to do. Is that immature sort of, f you, and I'm gonna just irritate you, and I'm gonna get some kind of reaction out of you.
And eat your macaroni and cheese that you made.
Right. So Kim, what else did you kind of garner from this film?
I haven't seen the second part where her, as Kenya describes, her part really comes alive. But I saw, in that part where she was in the tub, remember he was like, stop smiling right now. You're looking like a clown. When he was just like verbally attacking her. And that's what she was doing with her face. Like, I guess smiling. But then when he left the room, her lip quivered. And so she did have a response to his words. I will say this. I told Neil that, I hadn't seen the movie. I just tuned in this morning because I had a little time. But in my space, when I saw the trailer, I was like, this is too much. This is like too much. I don't think I want to sit down and watch this. But actually, when I started watching it, it was a little bit more deep than what I thought it was. And again, too, John Washington, like he was doing a lot. The whole opening grabbed me. I was just like kind of sucked in, the James Brown track. And I was like, well, what is going on here? So just this kind of, looks like two artists and kind of their struggle with their relationship and then their identity and success. There's a lot there. I just want to see how the rest of it unfolds, but I haven't gotten through it yet. But I thought she was giving it to him too, even in the beginning parts.
Oh, she was definitely giving it to him.
I didn't feel that, but I will definitely say, watching it within the first 10 minutes, I said, this is a peek into what dating a creative is like. I instantly saw two relationships in that space of 10 minutes.
Hey, Christina.
Hey, sorry, I don't mean to be late. I was having the terriblest time with the Wi-Fi.
Gotcha. No worries. All right, cool. Back to you, Kenya. Christina, you'll jump right in after Kenya makes her point. Go ahead, Kenya.
Okay, cool beans.
Yeah, it definitely felt like this is a peek into what dating a creative is like. And then for me, that kind of grabbed my attention, like, okay, what's going to happen? I enjoyed it. I like to watch toxicity on TV and in film, but not experience it in real life. Well, not at this stage in my life.
That's like me and like watching fights. Like I like gory stuff, like blood and guts, but I don't.
So sorry, can I just ask a question? I haven't seen the movie, so forgive my ignorance. But Kenya, you just said that's what dating a creative is like.
That was a peak, yes.
A peak. So is that what you and Neil are like?
Well, me, no. No. I'm not like that. I'm more, I think as I'm getting older, I'm calmer, but I'm going to ask a million questions. And I would say for me, John David's character was a lot like someone else that I dated. Like, for example, him being super physical and spiraling. That's how this particular guy was. And just like how Zendaya was just laying there listening to him, we've had moments where he's like spiraling and he had to get some of his creativity out. And I would say to him, are you done? I feel like you still have 60 more seconds of spiraling in you. So go ahead, go off. And then when he calms down, then I would say, okay, are you ready to discuss these thoughts that you have so that we can actually put it into action? Or are you just still creating in your mind?
A few moments later.
Because I find creatives are very tapped into their emotions. They're very emotional. That's what helps them create. Mm-hmm. And so I think when it comes to relationships, creatives can be a bit, not to sound cliche, but dramatic. They can feel strongly. Some may express strongly, like myself. Like, so when I'm mad, I'm really mad. Anyone who's seen that, yeah. And I'm the type, like, if I'm upset, I don't want you to try to calm me down. I need to let it out. But speaking of creatives, hey, Christina, what did you think about the movie Malcolm and Marie?
So I finished the movie and I do and don't care for it. I do think it was pretty realistic. I think it really captured, like Kenya said, how dating and creative can be. I personally, as an artist, because, I'm a painter, would never date a painter simply because Zendaya made a point in the movie that as a filmmaker and an artist, he really is very narcissistic and really only focuses on his perspective of the film. Even when he got the positive review, he was still mad. I think it's really about perspective and how people's perspective can change on just one variable. And I think the movie really highlighted very well how quickly people change when the perspective changes or really one aspect changes and how quick they are to change their opinion and their feeling. So I did like that about the movie. I honestly had to take a break. I was honestly becoming a little annoyed. I felt like a kid hearing the parents fight. It was just so much. But when I watched it, because, like the Netflix on the intro, the advertisement they play, like the little trailer. And what made me want to watch it was kind of just like the everyday, ordinary situations and how they contribute to even toxic or trauma or just big blown up moments like the whole film was, because when at least the trailer I saw for the movie was like being introduced to Zendaya in the restroom and then seeing her walk around the house. And I'm like, we do that every day. And then to watch the film and see how like these little instances of normal activity contribute to explosive moments, even with a partner.
Interesting. I found the film very, I was going to say exhaustive.
Yes.
Yeah. If I were the old me, Kenny and I have known each other very long. So we both can speak to the old us versus now being older and more mature. Let me just put it like this. Christina, I'm with you. I didn't like the film. But however, I did like the way it ended. The beginning and middle parts for me, I was like, why would you move from confrontational to now being sympathetic, to now being empathetic, to now being angry again? It was just, there was so much. If that's what they were going for in terms of an emotional push and pull from the audience, then they definitely got that for me. I found it a bit exhaustive. I found his character in Sneed, I specifically thought about this while I was watching with you in mind. His choices
were terrible.
Like, for example, when they had that argument and oh my God, two things. You and I, you've said it before. He sounds too much like his dad.
Yeah,
I mean, but he can't help that. He can't help that. That's his genetics. But there was a scene in the movie. There's a scene in the movie where they argued.
I closed my eyes at that point and just listened.
And there was a point where they argued, and he went outside and he was shadow boxing. And I hate to say this, y'all might call me stupid, but Black people we don't react like that. Call me wrong.
Yes, sir.
No, shadow boxing.
Yes, sir.
I think we might. So in my head, we might bang a wall and we keep it moving. But to go,
right. That was like.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, I've dated a few crazies. I was naming a couple people like, yep.
Wait, what
yep,
you said?
Yep.
What did you say, Sneed?
That looked like some shit from like a Seth Rogen movie or something like that. I don't know what he was
Right.
doing. Like, what?
I was kind of holding back. That's something a white person would do. Black people, I'm sorry. I'm not saying we won't react.
Well, maybe not not shadow boxing like that.
Yes, I'm telling you, I've dated people, not one, a few, that they were shadow box. And I'd look at them like, just as long as that don't land on me, we good.
I know that's right.
I just, again, it's certain choices. Go ahead, Christina. I'm sorry.
I mean, Neil, I agree with you. That's why I said I had to take a break. I also did like the ending because throughout the entire film, I was kind of like, at this point, she should just leave. You know, she's sober. She's got her life together. And she's really, really butthurt over this one instance of him not saying thank you. But I understand it. The film, we didn't even see the film, but we all know it was about her and her life and her experience. And then when she's like, you know, I could have made the film better. And he's like, authenticity doesn't mean shit. And I'm sitting here like, just because you can reenact a situation doesn't mean you can really bring it to life. And when she came through with the knife, I was scared. I was sitting there like, what the is she about to do? And then she put it down and said, tell me authenticity doesn't matter. I was shook. I will say that's one thing I really love about Zendaya's character. I do like that she was a very leveled character. And then trying to put myself in a position of like picking sides, I was definitely on Marie's side, only because in her instance, when she was fighting or when she would do her, you know, own part in arguing, I felt like she was only really arguing, one, to justify her own actions and to try to make him understand her perspective. Mm-hmm. And then also it was because of her frustration of how he just kept coming at her. Even when she was done, she said she didn't want to fight. She did everything in her power to not start the argument. And then he just came in through it and then had the audacity to be stuffing his face, excuse my language, with a mac and cheese. I was sitting there like, ain't that a man? I really felt, for me, I was on Marie's side for this whole argument because it just seemed like it was more reactionary. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was more reactionary. She was kind of coming off the defense with just trying to have her own moment where she can just say what she feels. And then him, you know, I just wasn't really a fan of, what's his name, Malcolm. I feel like his character, he derives off of her pain and he lives off of her and then documenting it.
A classic case of a narcissist. That's exactly how a narcissist.
Definitely. He was definitely a narcissist. And like, he had no interest. I don't believe he actually had interest in who Marie was as a person, a lover, and a partner, but who she was as his inspiration to his films. Because I didn't really see like genuine love from him. I saw genuine, what's the word I'm looking for? Infatuation. I think he was really just infatuated with her and her story. And now he could use that and be a part of that to make a film, and how he uses that in his later work.
I was saying, to go back to the macaroni and cheese, I think it really set the stage for how he felt about her, because she said she was hungry. You know, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten. She made the macaroni and cheese. They went and had this whole debate. And then she left the room and he had two helpings. Not just one, but she was like, you went back and got more. On top of that, then he dismissed her. Like I was having problems with him talking about how she was unstable. So that's what he said. You know, you're unstable. Like, who says that? Yeah. And also, given her history and her background, he was just poking at her and not trying to diffuse the argument by even saying, you know, sit down and have some of this macaroni and cheese with me. Thank you for making this. That was a big metaphor, and that was the point of using it for that relationship and the devolution of it as well.
You know, there were so many moments in the movie, in the film, where he could have de-escalated the situation. And then like when she was laying on the floor and she was like, can I ask you something without you making me feel like shit? then he goes into this rant of you're pathetic, you're nothing, you're this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, he was trying to fight her instead of the actual problem at hand. And I feel like Marie and her story and her side was trying to fight the problem at hand, which was he doesn't appreciate her, and address that problem so that they can continue as a couple. And so that's why I was so excited when at the end of the movie, her last words were "you're welcome," and then she was gone. Because I just feel that's really what you have to do with these type of people in your life. You have to just leave them where they lie, because as she said, this is the best that they will be. He's kissing her foot, talking about we should get married and divorced. Who the fuck's trying to do that? Who's trying to have those kind of toxic relationships over and over again?
Sneed, you wanted to say something.
I felt like at one point I was just like, what? Who's going to stay and endure all this in one night? I'd be like, you know what? You want some shit? You want some shit? Right. I'm going to talk to you tomorrow and get the fuck out. Like, I'm not like, I'm going to say what I got to say. You say what you got to say, but you keep coming back and finding me. I keep coming back, and finding you to respond to something you said. I ain't got time for all that. Like, I'm gone. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I think they both fed off of that energy, that drama, that toxicity. I think it fueled them both in some kind of way.
Codependency. In some ways, maybe deep down, her character enjoyed being the one to kind of clean up after him.
Yeah.
Because it might have given her something, to hold on to.
Yeah.
Bugs, are you a fan of Zendaya as an actress? Let me preface with this. I have a question.
I'm just thinking about her body of work that I've seen recently. Euphoria. Yes.
You've seen that where she plays a drug addict? I've never seen it. I just know of it. So you haven't seen the film, but I find Zendaya, some people will hate me for this. I find her delivery dry and masculine. And I agree with Kenya. I find that the first part of the film was a little lacking from her, and she really started connecting with the character towards the end. It actually felt like they shot this in one day, and then she really warmed up in the latter half. But do you find her? I find her slightly masculine in her delivery. Do you find that? Yes or no? Oh, it's never occurred to you.
Can somebody name some of the stuff that she's done? I keep going back to Euphoria, and masculinity makes a sense in that role because she's playing. Well, I guess she's a masculine or aggressive lesbian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that makes sense for that role.
Gotcha.
But I can't think of anything else that she's done that I've actually watched to be able to do a comparison.
Spider-Man, Mary Jane.
Yeah,
I find her, Sneed, what do you think? I find her a little, there's a hard edge to her that I won't say I don't like. Like, I'm looking at her in this beautiful gown and she's supposed to be a model, and the softness I guess I wanted portrayed in the character.
Well, I don't think the character really needed softness in that moment.
But why would she need to be soft? Why would she need to be soft, though?
It's the whole thing.
Yeah, why would she need to be soft in that moment? Who would be soft in that moment? Yeah,
no. So you can be soft and still be, the softness I'm speaking about, the energy she gives off. Like, she just, So let me put it like this. If we were to recast Zendaya, which I'm always throwing the rhetorical questions, who I felt like we needed someone, as to Kenya's point earlier, I wanted someone who was older and stronger.
Honestly, I liked that Zendaya was younger, and I also liked that, just from what I gathered, that she was not significantly younger than Malcolm, but that she definitely he had a few years on her. And I think it also contributed to how he felt like he could kind of bash on her because of her inexperience. I think that it kind of played into the mindset of him feeling like he had like power over her because he had more experience over her. He had more life experience than her. And so I felt that contributed to his arrogance.
I mean, he said it. When I found you, I plucked you from your pill popping life. He said it to her.
Yes.
That's exactly.
He felt like a savior.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He did say that. Yeah, he did say that.
Yeah. I would still want to see someone else play that role. Like, I just felt
who would you have play that role?
I don't know. I'm still thinking. You know what? Perfect. I got the perfect person. Dominique Fishback. She doesn't have to say a word, but what is the word? Her nuances. She doesn't have to open her mouth, but you know what she's thinking and I would like to see her play that particular role. She would eat it up. Zendaya, I didn't really feel it for her until like the second day.
To Kenya's comment, I think that's because in the first half, she was really committed to de-escalating the situation and kind of letting things lie. And then when the second shot comes in, like the second day, she's just like, well, if we're going to argue, let's argue. I'm going to be cut.
Exactly. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. You want to go there? Let's hash it out. Let's do this shit. Because to me, it's like how many arguments have we been in relationships where we were the person who really didn't want to argue, but we just sit there in silence and still. Like, I think that was a perfect display of how most people who want to avoid an argument because they know where it's going to go. They know the end. And you're like, and she kept saying, do you really want to go? Like, do you really want to go there? Like, how many times have we done that in our own relationships? Like, we look and we see further down the line than our partners or whatever you want to call them. And you pause and you look and you kind of look at them like, okay, you really tripping right now, right? Do you really want to have this conversation? Because if you continue going down this road, I promise you, your feelings is going to be hurt. Trust me on that.
Listen, I've been there. Like, I will done your whole existence, but keep talking.
I didn't care for Malcolm, especially for the beginning and middle. He's just such a toxic character. And then what got me was he threw it in her face about like the suicide attempt with the nail scissors. And then I think she did a very great job of, saying whatever she had to say and then bringing it back to like the nail clippers. And then he's like, you're trying to be spiteful and hurtful. Like, I'm like, what have you been doing this whole time?
The whole time.
And I just feel like he's just one of those people who loves to dish what he can't eat.
Yeah. She asked him to leave.
Yeah.
She asked him to leave the room. He was one of the earliest ones. And he kept going.
For him to sit back and start crying, I was disgusted.
And then when you open your mouth to defend yourself, then they want to be the victim. Sorry, Christina, go ahead.
I was just like, what kind of bitch ass shit is this? I mean, and I cried. Oh my God. I cried at like towards the end when she was giving her own thank you speech. Because I feel like especially Black women, we don't get thank yous. Okay. And for him to be thanking his mama, the secretary, the usher, I'm just like, come on now. And then it goes back to like him not even casting her about her story, talking about you couldn't have been better for the role. And then, she proves herself. And then he's like, oh, whoa, wow, I'm so sorry. Now it's in my mind that the film could have been better. I was so over Malcolm.
Oh, why didn't you do that in the audition? I think is what he said.
Huh?
He played it off as a joke. He said, why didn't you do that in the audition?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Kim, do you believe that Black women don't get thanked enough from your experience, from your life experience, or just even from observing other women around you?
I don't know if I agree with that fully. I think it just depends on the context. I think, in some instances that can be proven to be the case, but I don't think that is the case overall.
Got you. I think Black people's love language, to use a contemporary term, I think it's different. Like, I'm being honest, not being from this country, I see the cultural differences. Like, where I'm from, we don't say I love you. Americans throw that out commonly. Like, in my culture, I love you is not something you hear very often, but we show it in action. And so when it comes to thanking the women in our lives, we do it through action. Saying it, but we're referencing American culture, so I think maybe they need to hear it.
Well, let's be clear. He should have thanked her.
I agree.
He definitely should have thanked her. Yeah, that's not even up for debate.
Yeah,
I agree. I absolutely agree.
He should have.
You ready to get him?
Yeah, because you want to fight.
Oh yeah. This is the thing I don't get about relationships. And people, I love you 1 minute, but in the next minute, I can be public enemy number one. There's a limit to what you can say, and there should be some things that should not be said, whether regardless if you feel them or not, just out of plain respect. Like some of that shit, like I'm surprised she ain't slapped his ass.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I pop off in the relationships that I've been with, I've been slapped a few times. I'm just gonna put that out there. I don't think, but
but you like that type of shit though.
It's like
we ain't talking about that type of slap. You like that shit.
I ain't talking about that kind of slap. I'm just saying, like some of the reactions, it's like you cannot talk to the person that you saying that you love so much that you lay down next to every night. Like they're just like they're just street trash.
People do that.
It is crazy to me.
People do that and they feed off of your responses. I dated someone that was exactly like Malcolm. And in my moments when I'm quiet, I'm like, go ahead, talk. But when I start to open up my mouth, I'm going to dun your existence. Mm-hmm. So go ahead, keep talking.
Calm down, calm down.
And then the second I start, then it's I'm sorry. Nah, you wanted the smoke. I'm about to give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you all.
Okay. You want the smoke.
Yeah, and see, for me, Kenya, I would do the same thing, but then in doing that, I'm saying to myself and to him, that's the end of the relationship, because I'm not going to be in any type of toxic, manipulative relationship where you're abusing me with your words, and then in the second breath, you're telling me that you love me. Like that to me is the end. And it's a hard end. It's a fast end. But like you said, I will blow before it as we're at the end, it's going to be a blow. There's no coming back from that. You can't physically abuse me or mentally or emotionally abuse me and tell me that you love me, because your actions just demonstrated the opposite. And I'm going to believe the opposite.
And the epitome of emotional and manipulative abuse, because he was trying to be intimate with her after he said all these crazy ass things to her.
But that's the apology afterwards. Mm-hmm. That is definitely the apology.
What world does that happen?
Yeah.
Like, what are we in some new dimension?
The unmitigated ball.
Yes. Throughout the entire
So we can all agree, niggles gonna be niggles. so
that's why I say I like to watch the toxicity on TV, but not experience it in real life. Not moving forward, because I've already been there, done that. I want something different moving forward.
I think also that the stages of your life. Also, when you're younger, sometimes you don't realize you're in a abusive or toxic relationship, and I think when you get older and you're able to kind of look back, because life lessons are learned in retrospect. We don't look forward and learn. We look backward and learn. But yeah, I think that's just kind of speaking to a lot of people's stages of where they are in life and whatnot.
Okay, so there is a viral video online right now. I don't know if you guys seen it. It's a guy that actually joking about him looking like Jay-Z.
Okay.
And the song he's dancing to is called Track Star. It's by an artist by the name of Mooski. It's got they always have those spring, summer songs that are popular, and it's a one-hit artist. But I think because I've been seeing the viral video of the boy dancing to it so much, the song has actually started to grow on me. And it's funny that you say that, Neil, because the kid who's dancing in the viral video, he's saying the song now is number one on Billboard because of what he did in the video, increasing that momentum and building up that desire to listen to the song. And he has written a post on social media about how the artist Mooski should be paying him or recognizing him in some sort of way for helping his song get to number one. And I'm just thinking about the entitlement of this generation, thinking that an artist owes them something because they decided to get up one day and do a TikTok video of them dancing to the song. Like the artist.
How old is this kid?
Oh, he's got to be mid-20s. But that's what I'm saying. The entitlement of this generation, thinking that they are owed something because they put something on social media and it gets a large number of clicks and hits.
So what do we think? Does he deserve payment? Go ahead, Christina.
Okay, so as a person of this generation, I agree to disagree. So I agree with the statement that there is a lot of entitlement. Yes, I agree with that because a lot of us grew up with the notion that sharing is caring, and then believe that if someone doesn't share, that they're selfish. Now, I think it's really just kind of wanting credit. I definitely don't think that he deserves any kind of, financial contribution from the artist himself, because he wasn't there when he was making the song. Like Drake said, you weren't with us shooting in the gym. But I do think that he kind of just wants the credit for making the song big. But I mean, that could happen with anything.
But is it his credit in his mind is financial compensation? Am I not mistaken, Bugs? Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, so there could be a courtesy, like I think Drake's song that he did with
Shiggy,
the kid that made Drake's Shiggy, right?
Well,
so Shiggy helped make that song go viral, and out of courtesy, Drake asked him to be in the video. That's a courtesy. That's not me saying I need to give you credit or you deserving credit. It's just out of courtesy. I'm going to ask you to be in this video, and I think that is a form of entitlement when you write a post on social media to an artist saying, give me what I deserve. Like, that's entitlement. There's no the underscore. Like,
Kim, should
there's no wavering in that.
Viral star or personality be compensated financially for helping that song reach number one?
It's hard to say with just how everything's so open now, but I think he should. I think so.
But it all depends on the artist too. I think it all depends on the artist.
I think so. In some way, I mean,
I agree.
Go ahead.
If someone else is making money, he should as well. The way I believe. Yeah.
Then I got a product. If somebody blows it up, they're gonna get a thank you, maybe some free products, and I'm gonna keep it pushing.
And then the song really isn't even that great.
It's a courtesy. It means it's not necessary.
I agree with Kimberly. I don't necessarily know how much compensation he deserves, but I do think that a courtesy is necessary. I've heard the song. I hate the song, but I hear it every 5 seconds on my social media page to everybody doing that stupid little dance.
What song is this?
It's called Track Star by Mooski.
Track Star or Track Star?
It's called
Track Star, the name of the song. Yeah.
Can you send it to me, Bugs? Because I don't.
I think the song
is
very
self-part. Don't put it in the group chat. Share it to her individually.
Sneed. So should this gentleman be paid?
Yeah, I'm not even familiar.
So, Sneed, do you think this young man should be compensated?
I see this happening. It happened with Shiggy with Drake. It's now happening with this kid. It's happening with a few others. So on a broader scale, just thinking about the way the music industry is going, I think this might become commonplace if it hasn't already. So how do we think that the artists who blow, the next one that blows up, generated by social media buzz, by, a young Nathan and, doing his thing, how do we think that the artist should be directly compensating, if you will, the social media personality?
With a big thank you and keep it moving. No.
Exactly. This is the whole Marie movie. This is the whole Malcolm and Marie. Why there was such a toxic relationship, because he wouldn't even say thank you. It wouldn't even be a thing. It wouldn't even be a thing with a simple thank you.
So right now, well, maybe a couple weeks ago, SZA had an unreleased song called Shirts. This guy named, I think he's 17, BG Fans, he created a dance for it. A bunch of people did it. SZA, in turn, did the dance, tagged him on it, and he was happy.
That's all you need.
Because he created that dance, I think now that song is actually going to be released because of social media. Everybody's been asking about it. So
compensation should be up to the artist. That person is not in the studio for 12 hours trying to work on this song. No.
Right. They're not writing. They're not creating. They're not creating chords.
Not paying for studio time.
And it really goes.
I mean, I get that, but all of those 20, 30, 50 hours in the studio still might not make your song famous, while a little dance will.
Woo! But thank you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. That was it for this week's episode of The Double Bind. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Once again, I am your host, Springle. And I have all my co-hosts with me. This is a full room. We've got Christina, Boogs, Sneed, Kim, Kenya, and myself. And we will see you guys next week. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and now Clubhouse, as well as all major streaming platforms. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. And we'd love to hear from you, so leave us a comment.